Radioactive substances make nuclear bombs. Human fossils are dated using radioactivity of carbon-14. This means we are radioactive substances ourselves. So, can we become nuclear bombs instead of having to create another? Well, before we go into this video, let me warn you. This is crazy. We ought to do a thought experiment. Imagine an atom as a container and some marbles in it as neutrons and protons. Now, measure the mass of the container with the marbles. After recording the reading, remove all the marbles from the container and then measure them individually, including the empty container. Now, if we added up all the individual masses, it has to be equal to the whole mass measured initially. And it will be. Unfortunately, this wasn't the same case for real atoms and nucleons. Einstein pondered about this and justified this mysterious loss of mass from the atoms. The missing mass was released off as energy as a result of the nuclear reaction. This loss in mass was used to formulate the world-famous E equals to mc squared equation to calculate the energy released in the nuclear reaction. Surprisingly, the use and loss of extremely small masses released an enormous amount of energy, which gave scientists a glimpse at the powerful nature of nuclear reaction. Later, they went on to harness the nuclear energy to produce decimating bombs. To make a nuclear bomb, we have to disrupt the very nuclear arrangement of the atoms so that it would simply become unstable. And this is what we call a nuclear reaction. But in this case, one reaction will not be enough, but a chain of reactions has to be initiated to make a successful bomb. Once we ensure this, we can simply compress these continuing reactions in a small container until it explodes eventually. But here's the thing about atoms. Every unstable atom undergoes nuclear reaction in the first place to achieve stability. And that is where things get harder. We need an atom that is unstable and continues to be unstable forever, doesn't matter how many times it undergoes a nuclear reaction. And these exclusive atoms are called radioactive isotopes. Too bad, or too good, there are limited such radioactive isotopes fit to make a nuclear bomb, like plutonium 239 and uranium 235. Before we could go any further, head on to our channel to find more interesting videos. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so that you won't miss any of our videos. Alright, now we know enough about a nuclear bomb and the essential substances needed to make one. Before we could detonate our bodies, we have to know how are we radioactive, or if it's nothing more than a myth. Nature is full of radioactive substances which can be noticed from having a background radiation wherever we go. Without our consent, we are constantly eating, drinking, and touching radioactive substances and are exposed to radiation all the time. Due to this, the radioactive substances are absorbed by our body tissues. So, we are able to radiate from the unstable atoms that make up our body, and this is different for every human. Technically, carbon 14 is found on our skin as well. Undeniably, it is true we are radioactive. But does this mean we are good enough to turn ourselves into explosives? The devil is in the details. Not all the radioactive substances can be used up to this cause. It comes down to factors like type, amount of radiation, and the energy released from the nuclear reactions. And this is why uranium and plutonium isotopes are specifically used in making nuclear bombs, as they emit beta radiation, which goes on to play its part in the chain reaction and release a huge amount of heat energy along with other radiation. Coming back to the question, can humans become nuclear bombs? A weak and less thoughtful answer is no. It's because the radioisotopes cannot start a chain reaction and their composition is harmlessly small to the rest of our body atoms. Still, it is said that if around 100 humans stayed in a confined space for a few hours or days, the radiation they produce will be enough to kill the people inside the room. So, if we really want humans to become nuclear bombs, we have to feed them with specially cared food that keeps supplying them radioisotopes like uranium. It should be done with close consideration so that the amount of nuclear food doesn't kill the person immediately. Ideally, this has to be done precisely to make sure most of our body is made up of required radioactive isotopes. If this happens before the person dies due to cancer, we can build a container large enough to store the person. And then an external explosion has to be induced from within the container, like in most of the nuclear bombs, to initiate the nuclear explosion. Hopefully, our knowledge and warfare technology do not go that far. I mean, we all have to understand that the core of science is to make lives better and not to decimate the very foundation of it. Leaving the spark of awareness, signing off with Quantum Vimana.